each person is sharing their section, be sure you're just jotting down what you're taking away from what they're sharing. Everybody ready? So be ready for the timer. We'll just start with the first section, process versus person feedback. So, ready? Go. Wrap up your thought. And we'll move on to section number 2, small differences in language. And go. Number 2, on to number 3, criticism and alternatives to praise. And go. More praise and being positive. And begin. There are 2 last sections that conclude this chapter, so we'll just read those individually. And then you'll take all of your thinking, so the 4 sections, then thinking about the introduction, and then what you read in the conclusion, and you'll write an overall summary of the chapter in the diamond that's in the middle of your paper. So you have some praise for criticism, and then the last section is formative assessment, so page 49 and 50. Sorry, I know it was kind of confusing to navigate there a little bit. So after you read those 2 sections, and then thinking of all of the sections that you've just heard about, or that you read, write an overall summary in the diamond that is in the center of your paper. Questions you might have? Okay, I'll give you about 5 minutes. We'll see where we are. So, quick jot something down as your summary if you haven't yet done that. And then if each person in your group could share 1 word to sum up what's sticking with you, and then someone write down what each person says and try to make 1 sentence out of it. Ha ha ha. So each person share 1 word, something that's sticking with you. And you can't repeat someone else's word. And then try to create 1 sentence out of those words. And we'll share those out in just a couple minutes. You know, some of you were asking what the book is. It's Opening Minds, Using Language to Change Lives by Peter Johnston. This is what it looks like. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with all my highlights and things on your copies. I've been through this.
Sometimes I was like, why did she highlight this?
Right? Don't you wonder? I do the same thing. And then I even wonder myself. Like,
maybe read it 1 more time because you'll highlight it.
I will. Then I'll have everything highlighted in there. Okay, so I'm going to just read what each group's 1 sentence was. In order to replace praise and criticism, we must focus on the process and feeding forward. Process focused and asking questions to help students feel successful. When we focus on the process, we promote growth and encourage grit. Intentional process feedback empowers students to be reflective, lifelong learners. Impact by establishing productive feedback. So definitely some patterns there. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to share a video with you that's about 6.5 minutes long, and then that's going to take us right into our wrap up. But I want you to see an example of what it might look, sound, or feel like in action. So this resource is Teaching Channel. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you can create an account. It's free, and they have so many amazing instructional videos and resources available within. And this is one that I happened to come across quite a while ago, and it came to mind as I was thinking about planning for today. And this one you're going to notice I'm just going to not say anything more. What I want you to think about, just what you're noticing about the language the teacher uses and the students' responses to that. And so if it's helpful to you, maybe record some evidence of what she's saying and how students respond. So even just make a T-chart if you want to use the back of your green paper or in your notebook that you have from this morning, where you just jot teacher evidence, student evidence of maybe some of the things that we've been thinking about by reading this text. If you hear some specific examples of how maybe she focuses on some process-oriented feedback. Start pulling up at least the implementation guide. This is really going to help with that, but you could still probably do the survey anyway right now. And if you need the code for the survey, it's on the pink sheet. So how do I 2FKQIG? Oh, it's just... It would have been too easy.
Today we will work harder to get smarter. Growth mindset means believing that your brain has the capacity to grow. My job as a teacher is to teach my students strategies to help them grow their brains. And like slowness, way to be so precise and clear. Are we taking like 2, 1, or 8? In life, students are going to need to pursue problems, and they're going to need to be developed as problem solvers who know how to encounter a challenge and work through it to persevere to solve it. How many stars, stickers, dips, shall we have them? Scholars, remind our brains how we solve this. Turn and tell your partner, I solved this problem by. In math in particular, I'm much more concerned with their ability to make sense of a problem and persevere in solving it than I am in them getting the right answer. How many more do I need to take away? 8. How do you know? Because it says right there, 248. Today's lesson was a number sense lesson, and students were tasked with subtracting 3-digit numbers in story problems. Mathematicians, that problem felt especially challenging, didn't it? Yes. One thing you saw in my class today was my students encounter a challenging problem and really embrace it and get excited. What felt challenging about that, Brenda?
I got stuck on a 30 part.
I almost normalize that everyone's going to feel stuck, everyone's going to feel challenged by it, so that they can get excited and think about the strategies they can implement to tackle the problem. What can you do when you're feeling stuck?
Can I have some help? I'm feeling stuck about taking a weight to more tense.
Way to be specific, Brenda, about how to get help. Justify.
I took a group of 2 and that got me to 200.
Justifying and critiquing is one of the most critical components I can give my students to enable their ability to pursue a challenge.
I solved the problem by doing the implementation.
That means they're explaining their thinking with reasoning and evidence, and they're asking others to explain their thinking as well to better understand.
I figured it out by doing one strip. What do you mean one strip?
When we are tasked with the ability to express ourselves or articulate our thinking, it really illuminates our understanding or our misunderstanding. So when we're asking students to justify their thinking, explain their thinking, sometimes you can see that there are some gaps or some holes.
That makes 2. 502. 502. I think it translates 522.
When you invite that into a classroom setting, you're allowing for feedback from other scholars to engage in that thinking, whether they're understanding or misunderstanding it.
I disagree with you because we should do a strategy like adding up.
I think it really raises the level of rigor in a classroom when students can understand their processing and can also question and understand others. Christian and Sade were having kind of a heated discussion about the most efficient strategy to use to solve this problem. Go ahead, Christian.
I took a jump of 60.
My strategy was
Adding up. The 2 questions that why do you take a jump that will make a family member? 60 plus 1 equals 61.
I just want to pause and reflect on what's going on here. Already 2 people have shared out the same strategy, but they did it in a different way. Is there another way you can use the tool? One of the ways I feel like I've made a challenge feel exciting is even just through the strategy wait time. Are these worth the same as this? When I see a student struggling, I really zero in on that and I capitalize on it. I say, oh my goodness, I can really see the wheels in your brain spinning. What tool would help me solve this problem? Is the linking cube the right tool? So think, what may be a better tool to use? Hundreds, tens, and ones. Justify.
Because I always have 3-digit numbers.
Great.
There's 2 ones, so I think that's 522.
We haven't even found the answer yet, have we? How are you feeling? You really haven't found the answer?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm working so hard.
So friends, I'm going to have to stop you. We've ran out of time. You're doing so much thinking. Mathematicians. I saw groups talking about different problems. At the green table, we hadn't even solved the first problem. But you know what? They looked so happy. Can you tell the class about it?
We didn't know how to figure it out, but when it was time to go to lunch, we didn't quit. We were happy because we were learning our brain.
Those of you at your desk, given all of that feels like what you are feeling right now. This process is probably one of the most exciting things I find about being a teacher. She's been me too. Seeing my students struggle and encounter a challenge and embrace it is something that leaves me with great peace of mind because I know when they leave my classroom, they'll continue to have that growth mindset. They'll carry it on with them as they undoubtedly experience new challenges in life.
Okay, so in your groups, if you could just each take a turn sharing something that you noticed without crosstalk, and then explore with just a little bit of dialogue, and then consider what questions might you still have. And then if either on a sticky note or you could write it right here on this chart, if you could leave me what those questions are so that I can use that to inform more of what we might focus on in the next few weeks and be really rooted in what you're noticing and wondering and thinking more about as far as your own learning. So go ahead and take a few minutes to talk it out, and then we'll make sure we finish up with our survey if you haven't done that yet.